its flame too small to ask for more. You watched it lean, then right itself, like it had knelt and prayed for help. The air was cold but not unkind, a holy hush that wraps the mind. You didn't speak, you didn't sigh, just trace the ceiling with your eye. You weren't alone, not fully so, the echoes stayed from long ago. They whispered not of joy or shame, but something soft that wore your name. You didn't cry, you didn't move, but felt the stillness, tried to prove that even if your heart had stopped, the space you held had never dropped. The bell that rang too soft to hear still shook the air that brought you near. No one turned, no heads were bowed, but something stirred beneath the shroud. No priest appeared, no sermon clear, but still the bell had drawn you here. You stepped across the patterned stone, each echo shaped as if your own. The choir pews were lined with dust, like faith once worn and left to rust. A hymn began inside your chest, not sung aloud but not at rest. It rose in waves too faint for sound, yet wrapped your bones in something round. The altar stood, no light aglow, but held the dark you used to know. You didn't kneel, you didn't pray, but let your thoughts drift far away. You touched the rail, your fingers cold, the metal hummed what went untold. And though the page remained unturned, you felt what fire had once burned. You weren't expecting full reply, no angels there to justify, but still you hoped a shift in air might mean a silence heard your care. The bell that rang too soft to hear still moved a chord that drew you near. Not loud enough to break or bind, but deep enough to mark the mind. No audience, no ritual clear, but still it knew why you were here. The arch behind the pulpit wept with stone that time had slowly kept. You placed your palm against its side and felt a breath the stone denied. You saw a name half carved, half lost, a vow once made now bent by frost. It wasn't yours, it wasn't theirs, but felt like someone else's prayer. You entered through the northern gate where shadows clung like threads of fate. No bells, no books, no voices heard, just dust that settled on each word. The pew stood quiet, still aligned, like those who left but stayed in mind. A page half turned, a rose long dead, a silence where an echo bled. You looked above the ceiling high, but nothing there would meet your eye. No murals bright, no stars in gold, just stone that once believed, now cold. A choir stall with empty space still carried shape of every face, but none would rise and none would lean. The notes were gone, the air too clean. You hadn't come to start a song, but hoped the stillness might belong to something real or close to known. But all you found was tone on stone. Where the choir refused to sing, still the roof held everything. The ghost of hymns too soft to chase, the pause that lived in sacred space. You didn't kneel, you didn't bring a sound to where the choir won't sing. A chalice cracked beneath the light, its silver dulled by failing light. You touched the rim but felt no pull, just faint regret where faith was full. An incense trail that wouldn't burn still curled inside your slow return. You breathed it in then turned aside, like someone who had never tried. The choir loft was draped in black, as if the songs had all turned back. And in its cloth the silence pressed, too wide to fight, too cold to bless. You placed a note beside a stair, no ink, no name, but still aware that someone might have done the same, in hope, in shame, or just in flame. You didn't beg for full refrain, but wished for just a single strain. Yet in the hush too wide to ring, the choir simply didn't sing. Where the choir refused to sing, still shadows touched the offering. No voices rose, no chords began, but something stood behind your hand. You didn't leave, you didn't cling. You waited where the choir won't sing. Footsteps echo down this hall. No one answers when I call. I held my breath in silent grace, felt the wind against my face. A shadow moved but didn't flee. Or maybe it was only me. stood before the ancient doors, each one carved with silent wars. Their weight not meant for hands like yours, but still you reached and begged for more. The air was still, the sky gone dim, a shadow flickered on a hymn. You heard no sound, you saw no flame, but knew the space had learned your name. No candles lit, no footsteps near, just echoes thick with olden fear. You walked not fast, but like a prayer, afraid of what was waiting there. The walls were dressed in dust and sighs, and every breath became disguise. You tried to speak, but found no grace, just silence wrapped in velvet space. It wasn't wrong, it wasn't right, but everything had lost its light. And as you whispered, was it me? The church replied in vacancy. The cathedral had no answer, only echo. Not love, not rage, just places hollow. No angels sang, no wrath displayed, just stillness carved from prayers betrayed. And though you kneeled and hoped to know, the cathedral gave no answer, only echo. A single rose on broken stone, you wondered why it bloomed alone. Its stem was bent, its color pale, still reaching towards some lost detail. You traced your finger on the pew, faint names of those that came and flew, and wondered what they tried to find, what broke their voice, what stilled their mind. A stained glass saint without a face, a halo cracked in sacred space. You stared until your vision blurred, but still no voice, no word was heard. The cold became a kind of cloak, each step a breath, you never spoke. You listened hard and hoped to feel, but silence wrapped the air in steel. No cross, no sign, no sound grew deep, just fragments you were told to keep. And though you beg the dark to show, it only wept in echo slow. It hadn't moved, it hadn't changed, but something in your breath had frayed. You left the rose, now barely red, beside the book you hadn't read, and walked as if the air would break, but still no voice, no sign to take. The door swung open, not with force, but like a sigh that knew its course. And though the sky was just as wide, you carried something left inside. You didn't look to ask again. The answers lost between the when. And as you walked into the snow, the only sound behind was echo. The cathedral had no answer, only echo. Not yes, not no, no fire, no halo. It held your shape and let it go. It didn't break, it didn't glow, but still inside it seemed to know that all you asked was met by echo. I held my breath in the amber light, a cathedral dream in a silent night. Fingers curled around a wish I kept in a room where even echoes slept. Whispers tangled in stained glass walls. Every step repeats, every hope still falls. Moonlight dripped on the broken stone, but still I waited, still alone. And if I screamed, would you have heard? Through shadows deep, beyond the word, would prayers fly past the stars unseen, or fall to earth where we had been? If the silence was a sign, then I misread every line. Tried to touch a heaven blind, but the answers stayed behind. In the quiet I still call, though I know you hear nothing at all. But I reach and I fall into the dark where we lost it all. Footsteps etched in the marbled floor, rewind each night, replay once more. A ghost of me, a ghost of you, held in time like morning dew. Stained hymns play in broken keys, carried by the winter breeze. Every door remains the same, no exit carved in this refrain. And if I bled this light away, would it paint the words I couldn't say? Would you finally look and see the silent ache you left in me? If the silence was a sign, then I misread every line. Tried to touch a heaven blind, but the answers stayed Shadows folding into silence, I trace the cracks along the floor. Candles flicker like they know that I can't stay closed anymore. These prayers keep circling above my bed, above my doubt. They vanish in the static every time I let them out. The walls remember whispers that my lips can't form again. Fragments of forgotten hymns echoing like rain. I whisper to the night, but nothing answers back. Only echoes of the questions that I never learned to ask. A choir hums in memory of something pure and brief, but purity feels distant when I can't define belief. Is there anyone who hears beyond this broken sky? I'm not asking for salvation, just the reason why these thoughts won't end, why the stars won't speak. I pray and pray and pray, but the signal's always weak. I send it like a beacon, but the dark just pulls it down. My voice becomes a tremor beneath this haunted town. Pages filled with sacred code worn from all my trembling hands. Rituals I memorized to make the silence understand. But all that comes is humming, a glitch within the air. I mouth the words so slowly, as if someone might still care. The pews all lean like memories that won't sit upright anymore. The stained glass looks through me like it's seen this all before. I light another flame to fight against the gray, but it only makes the shadows dance in stranger, colder ways. My breath becomes confession, even when I try to lie. The chapel walls don't answer, but they always seem to sigh. Is there anyone who sees beyond this fractured night? I'm not asking for forgiveness, just a little light. Why the silence grows every time I speak? I pray and pray and pray, but the answers never leak. My signals float through static while my faith begins to fray. Each word a glass reflection that slowly fades away. My voice is not a weapon, it's a threat I send to space, hoping someone on the outside might decode this state of grace. If this is still the void, then why do I feel washed? Like someone once believed me, but forgot how much it cost. The stained echoes of my longing still bleed into these notes. Each prayer a ghostly signal from a throat that barely floats. I walk beneath an altar that forgot the name it held. My faith a crumbling structure where silence always dwelled. The mirror doesn't show me, it just blurs and shines with loss. I try to trace the outline, but I forget where lines were crossed. My room is full of echoes of people I once was. They choir in my memories fades with every breath, and yet I keep on singing through this choir of death. Is there anyone who dreams of someone like me too? I'm not begging for redemption, just something to hold to. Why these ghosts won't fade, why the cold repeats. I pray and pray and pray, but it's all in missing beats. I pray and pray and pray, but the pattern just deletes. I sing into the glitching till my melody retreats. Faint echoes in the hallway, glass shards in the moonlight's breath. I've walked this corridor countless times, but now each step feels like theft. Shadows fall with no resistance, candles flicker in silent protest. A memory calls out from the distance with a name I've never confessed. Breathing through this static air, I feel your trace, I know you're not there, but I'm caught in the thread that never lets me forget. You were the rhythm beneath my silence, the voice I almost reached, but prayers dissolve in twilight where our hands never meet. I scream through sacred windows, but stars refuse to bend. This night became a mirror of what I can't transcend. I counted all the locked doors, everyone held a scene of what we could have whispered in a time that might have been. Steps fall into patterns that never led me through. I fold inside these ruins, still painted with you. A flicker in my vision's edge, another trace, another wedge between what's past and what still clings too fast. You were the rhythm beneath my silence, the voice I almost reached, but prayers dissolve in twilight where our hands never meet. I scream through sacred windows, but stars refuse to bend. This night became a mirror of what I can't transcend. Do you hear it? The pulsing hum, like a broken hymn on replay. You left behind the promise, and I chased the disarray. Still beneath cathedral ceilings, I whisper just your name, and the echoes start to answer, but never sound the same. Pages torn from books unwritten, scattered across the floor. Every letter starts with if, but never finds a door. I wear the shadow like devotion, kneeling under fading skies. Each breath a quiet eruption that only memory justifies. So close I hear you exhale, but it's just my breath, just the tale of a ghost I hold. When the nights get cold, you were the rhythm beneath my silence, the ache I dared not name, but prayers dissolve in twilight, and I voices fade in passing cars. A flicker in the neon sign reminds me where you are. The city's always breathing slow, but now it holds its breath. The silence wraps around my steps like stories left unsaid. I keep hearing whispers, but none of them are mine. Echoes from a moment when we walked between the lines. Can you hear the weight I carry in this quiet turning blue? Every thought I never buried comes alive at night with you. No one's watching, no one's calling, but the night remembers still. Every time I tried forgetting, every promise I couldn't kill. Empty benches, rusted rails, the wind plays through the wire, and every sign is pointing back to something I admired. But time refused to hold it close, it let it drift away. And now I find those pieces scattered through the gray. I replay our conversations, but they never end the same. Your laughter fades to silence, and my silence turns to flame. Can you hear the weight I carry in this quiet turning blue? Every thought I never buried comes alive at night with you. No one's watching, no one's calling, but the night remembers still. Every time I tried forgetting, every promise I couldn't kill. Maybe I'm just falling forward into something undefined. Every step is like a question that your memory rewinds. I reach out to the silence as it slips between the lights, and wonder if you're somewhere still watching through the night. Can you hear the weight I carry in this quiet turning blue? Every dream I tried to borrow only led me back to you. No one's crying, no one's shouting, but the air is full of screams. 1,000 prayers unspoken, and the ghost of all my dreams. Light traces on the window pane, flicker like the ghost of rain. Shadows stretching down the hall, where once we danced, now none at all. A step, a breath, a sound I miss. to what once was bliss. The silence bends, it does not break. It waits for me to lie awake. I held your name beneath my skin, a hymn I sang but kept within. The night repeats your quiet sigh. In every star I hear goodbye. Still I rise where you once fell. Among the echoes I can tell this is not the end we feared. It's softer, quieter, disappeared. If I could meet you past the fade, would the silence still invade? Would the weight of love once lost still be worth the final call? The keys you left still sing your song. The harmonies you hummed along. The dust has settled, time moved on. But something here still feels so wrong. The mirror holds my older eyes, but yours remain as soft goodbyes. I trace the air where you once stayed, a prayer, a whisper never made. The hours stretch, the windows hum, but even still I won't succumb to silence cold or lost too deep. Your name's the thread I choose to keep. Still I rise where you once fell. Among the echoes I can tell this is not the end we feared. It's softer, quieter, disappeared. If I could meet you past the fade, would the silence still invade? Would the weight of love once lost still be worth the final cost? I built a shrine from broken things, from echoes, tears, and severed rings. Not to mourn, but to begin to find the space where light breaks in. You are the reason I still ride in sleepless days and dreamless night. The world forgets, the world moves on, but somewhere still you are not gone. Today I breathed and thought of you. The sky turned gray, then soft and blue. Not in grief, not in regret, but in a love I won't forget. My voice returns, a fragile thread, still singing what was left unsaid. You don't appear, but I still try to meet you in the lullaby. In moments small, in seconds thin, you echo in the space within. No monument, no stone, no flame, but still I call your silent name. Still I rise where you once fell. Among the echoes I can tell this is not the end we feared. It's softer, quieter, disappeared. If I could meet you past the fade, would the silence still invade? Would city built from static streams. Her voice cuts through the midnight air like it's never even been there. Steel rails echo with names unsaid, neon scars where hope once bled. Everything's in motion still, and I can't remember what was real. She whispered once, just noise or code, or something lost we once were owed. I chased her down the fire escape, each heartbeat like magnetic tape. Run with me where the silence breaks, past the lines the program makes, where digits dancing out of time, but still your voice rewrites my mind. The system makes to understand the ghost you left inside my hands. I'm built of wires and regret, but I'm not ready to forget. Skyscrapers hum in sacred tones, lifelines buried in dial tones. Each breath I fake, I breathe for her. A shadow in my circuit blur. Grid lights blink like warning signs, each flicker coded into rhymes. I close my eyes, I see her stare, but no one's really ever there. She left her touch in every bite, like morning stitched from sleepless night. Her coat still trembles on my skin. She broke the lock and crawled within. Run with me where the silence breaks, past the lines the program makes, where digits dancing out of time, but still your voice rewrites my mind. The system make to understand the ghost you left inside my hands. I'm built of wires and regret, but I'm not ready to forget. A glitch, a spark, a phantom sigh, some looped goodbye that won't comply. She screamed within the waveform's end, but no one cared to comprehend. Still I return to every line of broken code she left behind. Her breath inside my memory, a gospel lost in before the end begins. I count the silence on my skin. Mirrors crack where dreams once shone. Time forgot what we had drawn. Your shadow leans across my chest, a quiet weight that never rests. The lights all flicker, not for show, but for the ghost I'll never know. I walked through fire just to feel, but nothing left was ever real. Still I reach inside the smoke for words we never even spoke. Don't call this the end, not yet. There are echoes we still forget. Wounds that open never bleed. Memories we didn't need. One last breath in this old fight. Chasing stars that lost their light. If I fall, then let it be where you last remembered me. I wrote your name in static snow, where machines forget to glow. Pressed rewind but heard your laugh, only broken, cut in half. Your song became a distant hum, fading out what we'd become. And I stood still beneath the noise, a silence louder than your voice. They say the end is quiet rain, but mine still screams your name in vain. If I am fading, let it show. I won't pretend I didn't know. Don't call this the end, not yet. There are echoes we still forget. Wounds that open never bleed. Memories we didn't need. One last breath in this old fight. Chasing stars that lost their light. If I fall, then let it be your last remembered me. You said goodbye without a word, a glitch in love, undisturbed. My circuits burned with phantom touch, wanting what was never much. Every silence a delay, recoiled the bag but couldn't lie. Still I send the signal out, in the hope you hear me shout. I won't escape this final loop till every pulse plays back our truth. The world won't know what we were for, but I'll keep knocking on that door. So if you're out there fractured still, know I wait and always will, in binary and broken code. Look